Hiya, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
You want to go do a podcast?
Sure.
Jump in.
Gathered friends, listen again to Binging Barbie. I'm your host, Jay, and with me I have my co-host. Did you just kick my mask, John?
Seemed like a good idea.
It was.
Ugh.
This is a podcast about toy media franchises, 2000s nostalgia, and other such ephemera. This week we are wrapping up our series on Bionicle. We'll be talking about the second season of the Generation 2 tie-in show, Bionicle Journey to One. And joining us once again is Toa Legend.
Hello.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the end of Bionicle for the time being.
Yes.
Maybe it'll come back, maybe not. Who knows? Anyway, this was released July 29, 2016. This is 4 months after the previous season was released.
And a couple days before the cancellation announcement, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, they were definitely trying to get this one in under the wire.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was once again same creative staff, directed by Nicholas D. Robital, written by Mark Palmer, art direction by Marie-Michelle Laflamme, and music by Mike Rasnick.
Yeah. Let's just get into the story. So the Toa return to the Mask Maker City and find it under siege from an army of elemental beings led by Umarak. They are the Destroyer. They leave their elemental companions behind to help guard the city. A Kimu transforms into a Toa or something and joins the team as they search for Umarak or the Destroyer. Eventually, they end up at the crater where the capital city used to be. They fight Umarak or the Destroyer, but he is unable to open a portal to the Shadow Realm. Gali gets thrown through the portal, and inside she sees that Makuta has assembled an army to take over the island. She also finds an ancient prophecy, and with the portal open, Makuta begins his escape. Gali is able to get out first and tells the Toa that they must combine their elementals or their elements to seal the portal. They are successful, defeating Umarak the Destroyer and Makuta. With their task done, the Toa ascend to the sky and become stars watching over the island for the next time they're needed. And that's it. That's everything.
We promise you this plot was not AI generated. This came out before AI generation. But still has similar quality for some reason.
Yeah. I think we need to start by talking about the first scene, because the first scene is absolute insanity. This is Umarak, having been possessed by the Mask of Power, is talking with Makuta, has summoned the hologram fire thing of Makuta. Makuta's like, "Oh good, you're wearing my mask." Umarak's like, "Yes, I am going to assemble an army to destroy the island." Makuta says, "No, first you have to set me free." Umarak says, "Okay, I will go and do that." Makuta says, "No, first you have to assemble an army to destroy the island." And then Umarak screams in what I think is supposed to be like a summoning call, but I interpret it as frustration.
Yeah. I mean, it seems about right.
Yeah.
You and me, Umarak. We are the same.
It's like, Makuta, did you ever learn yes and?
Seriously.
It's like, no, yes, is what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but actually, yes.
Yeah. It is. I will say, it's nice that we actually kind of see some stakes now, because I feel like the first season was like very much we're just doing the thing because we have to do the thing, and we're like in a rush, but we don't really know why. It's more like we're in a rush because we have 2 episodes to tell the story. In this one, it's like, hey, they're actually like trying to destroy the village, and Akotans might die or something. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The village was destroyed by an army. It wasn't lava army.
Oh. Yes, they realize, oh, Umarex tried to distract us so he can gather the pieces. We should stop him. Next scene. He has all the pieces.
Yeah. I mean, on the bright side, like the villain plan isn't too bad in this.
Yeah.
Like they don't really tell us what the plan is. Like they don't cut to the villain and be like, haha, my plan is to distract them while I do this thing. It kind of is, oh, the heroes figure this out because they're just fighting unending waves, but they're not seeing the main villain. Or I guess I should say, Onua figures it out. He's the only one with a brain cell in this show.
Probably used to have one, but she left that behind in season 1.
Yeah.
Until she learns how to read in this season.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah. That's important character growth. Literacy.
Now, I noticed something while watching this, which is that the dialogue all sounds like one of those poorly translated video games. Like not like All Your Base Are Belong to Us poorly translated, but like Resident Evil 1 poorly translated, where it's technically everything they are saying is grammatically correct. It just sounds very unnatural spoken out loud. I have some clips for comparison here.
They do just fine without us. I guess they do. Don't sound so disappointed. We still love you, Tahu.
That was too close. You were almost a jibble sandwich.
Let me see.
Whatever that means.
We can't do this forever. The wall will work for a while. I have to go. Are you serious?
That's my favorite.
I found something.
What is it?
It's a weapon. It's really powerful, especially against living things.
Well, yeah, that's how weapons work.
Like, if you showed or like gave people those clips who weren't familiar with either of these things, they would not be able to tell you which was which.
Aside from the terrible audio effects and reverb on all
the
voices. Yeah.
No, it's just like, yeah, the way the lines are written, and I have to assume they're probably in a bit of a rush. I assume that they know a little bit in advance that this is all going to get canceled. So they probably just told the writer, hey, whatever you have right now, turn that in. We're working off of the first draft. Because this feels like the kind of dialogue that you could go back and you could tighten it up a little bit. You could, instead of the wall will work for a while, I have to go.
Yeah.
Say something like, this should hold for a while.
It really feels like the first season was like, oh, we have plenty of time. We're going to take things slow.
Yeah.
And this season's like, holy crap, we got no time. Let's just go. All plot points go. Let's ascend to heaven and become stars now. Go.
It's really crazy to me because like it feels like the whole time in this show it feels like they've been just trying to fill a word count. But in this season specifically, it's like, oh, we're trying to fill a word count. But at the same time, they're trying to do so much. It's like they've got 40 minutes, but they only really use 20 minutes and then just kind of like copied and pasted and changed a few words a few times. There's so many like repeating lines over and over. Specifically, okay, wait, I have this written down. It's the scene where they're like, they figure out that the beasts, the villains, are like attacking, and they're like, oh, we got to destroy the masks for these quake, storm, and lava beasts. And like they're on the bridge, right? And Gali's like, or Pohachu swings with his blade and it cuts through them and does no damage. And he's like, what? And then Gali's like, here, I've got an idea, and throws water at it, and it pushes it back, and it works pretty well. of course, this is before they destroy the mask, so they just get back up. But in the meantime, she hits Pohachu, and Pohachu's like, "Oh man, now I'm all wet." And she's like, "Sorry," and he's like, "It's okay, it's whatever." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool, good character growth. He's not super frustrated. Good on him." And then a few minutes later, they're fighting. They're destroying the masks. Pohachu goes to stomp on a mask, gets carried away by two of the goons, which was, I don't know how they got in front of him, but they did. And then Gali is like, we need to make sure we're not just using our weapons, which she just did. She just used her elemental abilities, but that's okay. Fine. And so she does, again, she throws water at them. It hits Pohachu. He falls on the ground. He's like, "Oh man, now I'm all wet again." And she's like, "Sorry." And he's like, "It's fine. Don't worry about it." It's like, we just saw that. We just saw that.
Part of me wonders if they were writing the scripts as they were also animating the action scenes. Because it definitely feels like everything is being rushed. I think at the very least they're working off of first drafts of the scripts, because there's just a lot of like, the repetition, the wording of things. None of the characters have a unique voice. We get very little characterization. There are no character arcs.
Yeah.
We have weird things like Gali rushing in and getting kicked into the shadow realm, which is not in character for her at all.
Yeah, of all the characters to rush, we have, like, admittedly, the series tends to do pretty well at the fact that each character is a little bit more of a stereotype, which is easier to latch onto. The unfortunate side is that they're all just that stereotype, and just barely. And so while Gali, I think, is more like spunky in this series than previous showings, she's also not necessarily the impulsive one per se.
Yeah.
You'd think it would be Tahu, or it would be maybe Liwa or
even
Pohachu.
Like Pohachu.
Yeah. But nope. Or we could have gone with the stupid one, Kopaka, because he's very stupid in this show.
Yeah, but I don't know. It could be a bigger arc for him having to read.
That is a fair point. They might not have won if he had to read, though, so I can understand.
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, my mechanical eye, it does something." Oh, it's reading. What are these words? What are these pictures?
His mask is just the mask of text to speech.
It's just a picture book.
Yeah. He doesn't even have to read words.
It's just it doesn't feel like a fully formed show, which is interesting to watch, but doesn't make for like it's more interesting on an academic level than on a actual sitting there and enjoying what you're seeing on the screen.
There's just so much dissonance between what happens and what the characters are saying too. It makes me wonder, like, how much of this was edited in like the wrong order, or they had to use scenes that they already animated, so they had to like reuse things, or like, what did the production look like? Because it really feels like things are happening in just such a fever dream kind of way. There's so many lines, like, again, they're fighting all of the enemies, and Kopaka says, "If they can work together, so can we," as if his current title is not Uniter. Working together is in his job description.
Although as Akimu later says, the time for unity has passed.
That's
apparently
so true.
As if that's not like a central theme of
Yeah, the whole okay. We'll get to Akimu. I've got a lot of gripes with him, but like there's just so much dissidence in what's happening. The whole city's being attacked, and he's just like chilling,
yeah.
just watching.
There is I don't know if this was like an intentional plot twist that they were working towards, but it feels like there's something very, very sinister going on, as we talked about a bit last episode.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's anything sinister going on with him. I just think that he has nothing going on.
that is sinister enough for me.
Yeah, he's just yeah. He like joins the final fight, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Opens a door, becomes big.
See, it's funny
turns blue.
you say that, because so I watched this last week when I watched all of the other episodes together, and then I rewatched it last night, and I was like, what does Akimu do in this series? What does he do at all? In the first part, he was kind of like the quest giver, and in this one, he's like the GPS, I guess. I don't know.
No, not even, because he doesn't know where they're going.
That is
the
true.
Translator for the eagle who does know where they're going.
Yeah. And so
they can communicate with the eagle as well. So he's just kind of there.
He's just there. He just knows that the eagle knows things.
He's the like when you're on a road trip and whoever's driving has their phone with the GPS turned on.
Yeah.
And then there's the person in the back who's like looking for restaurants but keeps missing the exits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh look, there's a McDonald's. Oh, we just passed it.
Yeah, I do love all the moments of yes, we need to hurry, we need to stop him, but let's stop right here and just let me lore dump on you because the eagle said we need to wait up and be together.
Lore that would have been important to know prior to this point.
Yeah.
And he could have said at any point.
Literally.
They had to shoehorn in an eagle for this story. It's like, how do we get from point A to point B? It's like, eagle? They saw it happen, I guess.
Which is another thing of like, okay, we're going to look at what the eagle saw. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, we're going to get like a bird's eye view. He's going to be like spying on him. No, the eagle gets spotted, almost gets killed, and then runs in, scratches the guy. My thought is like, whoa, maybe the eagle took out one of his eyes. Nope, he's just,
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the eagle belongs apparently to the Toe of Light, maybe?
Yeah, they mentioned that because they specifically are like, whoa, are you a Toe of Light? And he's like, haha, no. And then we're like, okay, so what's going on here? Is there a Toe of Light? You've answered my question by making more questions.
Listen. Lego needed
for the eagle.
Lego needed another figure, another design for me. So this is what's happening now.
Yeah, and to its credit, I love the like translucent blue mask. I think that's cool. I love it when they do masks of multiple different colors. Awesome. But this is easily his most useless form. They get into a fight. I'm thinking, whoa, we finally get to see Akimu, the guy who hit Makuta in the face with a hammer. That's his like glory moment. We're gonna see him swinging around his giant hammer and shield in this fight. Frame 1, he gets knocked over by someone. They start to try and steal his mask. He's like, oh no, and then gets saved by, I think it was Gali. And that's all he does in that fight. Except for become a like human form of a flashbang later. And that's it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He's good at using his hammer when the target's not moving at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about. I don't know if I believe his telling of that story. If only for the fact that he doesn't also end up in the Shadow Realm. Like there's something fishy going on.
I agree.
Now we do need to talk about the weird ending. Yeah. So weird ending. They're just like, hey, gotta go back to our home planet. Whatever that meme
I
is.
okay.
Also,
So
also Ikimu's just like, by the way, there's a prophecy.
Oh
I know what's
yeah.
gonna happen, but I ain't gonna tell you.
there is a lot of issues with this whole world building idea that they had. So conceptually, right? The
Yeah.
idea that the Toa are embodiments of the elements that they are. They like are each of their elements is okay. I don't have an issue with that. It's actually kind of cool in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's classic cartoon logic.
Yeah. The issue that I do have is that it took them, you know, 2 seasons or 2 years or however you want to phrase it for us to know that. And
Yeah.
the reason why I say that is, having a reveal is fine. That's cool. But the problem is Ikimu has known the whole time and said nothing. The villagers might have known already and said nothing. They're just like, no, no, no. We're just going to make these, heroes that came to save us be in the dark about who they are and how powerful they are. I It is mind-boggling to me why they don't reveal the prophecy at all. Like Ikimu
Yeah.
has sworn to not reveal the prophecy, right? And so has
Ooh.
Makuta, which he did a really good job of doing, by the way. Um, but it, there's no reason for him not to, in my
Yeah.
mind, aside from he promised.
And
What?
the writers didn't think up the prophecy until later and had to explain why.
It's really like they had no idea what they were going to do because the main story that the entire generation was kind of based off was like too much, and they're like, we don't want to do this crazy stuff, which we will explain later on after we do our ratings, of course. But it just left it very empty and directionless for most of the run.
Yeah, and where in Bionicle Generation 1, they use prophecies in an interesting way because they have the only like real prophecy that they have is the Toa of Light coming into existence. They're like, when darkness is risen, that's when the Toa of Light, will shine or whatever. That's not the actual prophecy, but essentially that's what it is. And they use that prophecy in like a really interesting way in that there's story building elements that have certain characters that are trying to actively fight against that prophecy by only creating 6 Toa canisters so that a Toa of Light will never be born, and that way there will never be a time of darkness. And that's super cool. The other side of it is in Bionicle Generation 1, um, the prophecy is not particularly like really a prophecy. It's a, hey, we saw a little bit of the source code and this is like the failsafe. So it's not like this will happen. This is destined to happen. There's nothing you can do to stop it. It's this is what Matanui as a sentient AI robot has as a backup plan in case things go south. And it's a cool world building thing of like, okay, well, what is prophecy? What is the state of consciousness? What is like that kind of stuff? In this case, it's like, it seems like this prophecy will happen regardless. The stakes no longer matter because it will happen regardless. Ikimu saying nothing or anything doesn't matter because it will happen regardless.
Unless it only happens because Gali was able to read the solution.
Right. Which is another thing that's like, okay, both Makuta and Ikimu know the prophecy. Maybe they don't, maybe Makuta doesn't believe the prophecy, but surely he can tell, hey, everything that's on that wall has happened so far. Maybe Gali is here and she's about to figure out her true power because that is on the wall of the prophecy.
Yeah. It's the thing where as a narrative device, a prophecy is generally there for like not foreshadowing because it's actually directly telling you what's going to happen, but
Mm-hmm.
especially with these like set in stone this is going to happen prophecies, the interesting thing to do with them is the like Macbeth thing where in trying to avoid the prophecy you end up making it become true.
Right.
Here I think it is the writers were like, okay, season 2, we only have 2 episodes left to wrap up the entire story. We just need to have characters know things and also explain why they haven't told anyone these things yet. So, prophecy time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating. I realize that the like mini like web series has prophecy elements in it too, and I think they
Yeah.
were trying to continue that while using it as like a, okay, this is an easy way to get from point A to point B in our storytelling.
Yeah.
um but it really just took away a lot of the character's agency. It felt like it wasn't actually helpful, and the idea that they found out such a like important thing about who they are from a drawing on a wall,
Yeah.
it was just kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, it could have been revealed by Makuta. It could have been Makuta being like, you don't even understand. Ikimu never told you? What a traitor. You guys are actually blah, 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 blah. And like, that could have been like, oh, okay. The villain is, this tells us something about the villain. He has like his hubris is his downfall, and he's trying to turn
Yeah.
the heroes to his side. And nope. Instead, it's Makuta being like, wow, it is a really good thing that Ikimu will not tell the Toa exactly how to become the most powerful versions of themselves, which is written on the wall in room 2A. If you were to check it out, that would be really bad for us.
Oh, I. This is why I don't trust Akimu. So
Yeah.
Akimu tells this whole story about how you can't combine the elements or bad things will happen. And he's like making this whole big deal about it. And then like Gali comes back from the Shadow Realm and is like, we have to combine the elements. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What?
I
Kimu
think
knew.
it's like one person cannot have all the elements for themselves, but like the 6 individuals joining together can.
Yeah, I think that's
That's,
what they're going for. That's
yeah.
not how it comes across. It comes
Yeah.
across as like Akimu being intentionally evasive for some reason, which I think it is interesting if either A, he is trying to stop the Toa from achieving something.
Hmm.
Here it would be achieving stopping Makuta, which doesn't make much sense. But if he has a bigger goal in mind that is against what the Toa are trying to do, that's an interesting way to take things and explains a lot about his character. Or what if he's just making up the prophecy to get the Toa to do what he wants? What if
True.
Makuta is actually not a bad guy?
I wonder if Akimi was just supposed to be some random character initially, but then they just like, just make him the old wise guy. Does he have information? No, but just let him be there.
Uh,
Well, so it's very interesting how they explain this, because like it is really it's hard to say how much of it is unreliable storytelling and how much of it is like, oh, maybe they did have something planned, because like
yeah,
rewatching this, I'm like, I do not trust Akimu at all. um Especially with how he explains that. So if you combine elements, that's a bad thing, right? The which the takeaway for me in this is, oh, the writers are saying elements combined equals bad, segregation equals good. Okay, that's an interesting way to take this, but we'll continue. Um, Combining two elements in a mask brings disaster, but the way it showcases this is like, okay, one mask makes tree grow and the other one sets it on fire. Are you sure you didn't just put on the fire mask and try and make the tree grow? Like, I don't know if this is a really good showcase of that.
Oh no, the fire mask set something on fire.
Yeah. And I guess it was like purple and red-ish, so maybe it was supposed to be earth and fire, but then
What were you trying to do with the tree?
yeah.
That was not lighted on fire.
Yeah. So it was weird. And then on top of that, they're like, okay. And then Makuta was like, I'm going to forge a mask that combines all of the elements. And that is a bad thing. That will always be bad. But it might have been okay if Makuta had a pure heart. And it's like, well, okay, now you're saying two different things.
Yeah.
So it's okay if we combine elements together as long as you have a pure heart? Or is it always a bad thing? Are we united but not one, separate but equal? Like, what is happening?
The time for unity has passed.
Yeah, it's so.
I think they were trying to set up maybe the Toe of Light, and that's what the mask of like power was. It's just like all the elements. The Toe of Light has all the elements plus light.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm thinking ahead because me and Jay went through Christian Faber's concept art videos about what Gen 2 was.
Yeah.
And there's one piece of concept art was that he pointed at something. It's like, here's my concept art for the Mask of Ultimate Power, but he drew the Mask of Light. He had several drawings of the Mask of Light and called it the Mask of Ultimate Power.
Interesting.
So I don't know what's going on there.
So what if Akimu is masquerading as this light Toa and is trying to stop the actual Toa of Light from manifesting?
Maybe. I mean, so I think the takeaway that I'm going to take away from this, I don't think this was the show writer's intention. I feel like Akimu is in a spot where, okay, Makuta's coming back. Makuta is bad, or at least has lost his mind. And there's kind of this like power vacuum on this island that Makuta's trying to fill. Now, I want to fill that power vacuum, but there's also these Toa here that are stronger and more powerful than me. So, what if I manipulate them into defeating Makuta and sending themselves back up into the stars, leaving another power vacuum that I can fill, and just kind of take over? Or, I don't know, maybe just chill up in my tower. I don't really know what Akimu does in his spare time.
Yeah, that makes more sense with how ominous his character is than what the show is actually wants you to think it's doing, which is Akimu's there and he helps them, but not really. And then they turn into stars and leave.
Yeah.
My planet needs me. Zoom up into the sky.
Yeah.
Doing a Tilda Swinton in The Dead Don't Die.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that just, yeah.
It's all just very weird. And like,
I mean, the concept itself is really weird, and we'll get to that. But
yeah, I don't know. There were interesting concepts that were thrown out in this 2-episode series. Like, you can't summon your elemental powers when there's no light. That was like an interesting bit of world building where it's like when you're in shadow, you can't summon your elemental abilities. And it was like, okay, that's interesting. There was that kind of, I will admit this, they did have foreshadowing, which is not a literary term I thought I was going to be using today. But when Pohachu uses his like ultimate ability and uses the stone to like instantly destroy everything, I realized on this watch through, oh yeah, it's foreshadowing the fact that they're just these element lords.
Oh yeah, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, but otherwise, it's kind of just like, yeah, why didn't he do that sooner? What? This would have helped a lot earlier. He was struggling to lift rocks in the last episode. and now he's just instantly crushing all the enemies. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I do also
Um,
feel bad for their little animal buddies who
Yeah.
yeah.
are just left behind, no goodbyes, because they waste no time in the Toa leaving to become stars. It is
Yeah.
they defeat Makuta. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
There's no goodbye scenes or anything, because which makes sense because we don't have any emotional investment in any of these characters, so they don't need a scene of these characters having their emotional goodbyes because it would just not have any impact. But it is
Yeah.
kind of odd.
Well, and it's like it feels like the show ultimately forgets about these elemental creatures too.
Yeah,
Because like the whole okay, let's use all of our resources to fight the enemies that are sieging the city. And then the Toa and the creatures are struggling and they're kind of holding them off. And then they're like, oh, no, we gotta go. So the creatures can handle it though. It's fine. It's like, are we sure about that? That's not okay. If that's the case, why why have the Toa been doing anything? I don't get it.
uh,
It's
yeah.
just a lot. But yeah,
Akimo gets back to the city after everything that's gone down, and it's destroyed. Everyone's dead.
I mean, honestly, maybe because at the end of the show, it cuts back to the storyteller by the fire and being like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, and if we ever need them again, we can call him." And Ikimu's not there. He's not by the
yeah,
story
no.
fire. It's just these Akotans that have just seen war, I guess, and they're like trying to get rid of their PTSD, but it's not going great.
It's the day after.
Yeah,
It's not even a few years. It's just the day
just the
after.
day after.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah. I gave the story a 1 out of 5, which is a steep drop from what I gave the last one. I I had fun watching it being like, oh, this dialogue sounds like bad video game dialogue,
mhm.
and that was about it. I was on the fence yesterday of if I was going to go and see Furiosa in the theater again or if I was going to watch this. And 5 minutes in, I was like, I think I'm going to go and see Furiosa. So I did that, and then I came back and finished it. So it was, yeah,
I also gave it a 1. I think I enjoy it slightly better than the first season, but it's still not all that great.
Yeah, I gave it a 1. I feel like any sort of semblance of story that they had from the first season, they threw away. Like I do appreciate that they had stakes in here. Like I felt like in some ways this was more grounded, but they also just kind of went off the rails. I, I I struggled. I felt like I was watching my brain cells die with this show. It was rough.
uh, yeah. Onto characters. We already talked about the Toa a lot last episode. I think if anything, they have less characterization here. Um,
I The two I do want to highlight because
yeah,
they're the only two that I feel like mattered. Onua was actually intelligent in
yep,
this. He was the only character that I feel like was acting with any sort of wisdom. He figures out how to stop the beast by crushing the masks. He figures out that they're just being distracted. Um, he's great. Also, he has a really cute scene where he pets Agil
yeah,
where they're talking. I was like, oh, that's a cute interaction. And then Liwa being the competent one again. Like, did they not read anything about Gen 1? Liwa's supposed to be the one that is the damsel in distress at the end of the day. But no, he's the one that like Tahu gets trapped in fire, which and then all the other allies are like, "Oh yeah, let's use our elemental abilities." And none of them do anything except for Liwa's vines wrap the enemies. Literally, Kopaka takes out his gun, shoots ice at them, and he's like, "Yeah, that worked." What do you mean that worked? There's nothing changed. And then after all that, Liwa jumps in the air, does a roundhouse kick, and kicks the mask back onto Tahu's face, doing the only thing that has been useful in this fight.
Yeah. It's like, I think besides Pohatu, honestly, you could swap out any of the things that any of these characters did, and it would make just as much sense with any of these other characters doing any of these things. Like, it makes more sense, as we were saying, if Gali is not the one who gets stuck in the Shadow Realm.
Yeah.
It makes more sense if Liwa isn't the one who is the most competent in the fights.
Yeah.
There's no character arcs.
Well, and like the weird thing is, I'm used to it. Like the main character is the red guy, right?
Yeah.
And in this show, I don't know who the red guy is anymore. He's not the hothead. He's not the impulsive one. He's not the. He's not even the best fighter.
Yeah.
He's just there. He's the leader, but like I feel like Onua's the better leader of any of them.
Yeah.
He's Mario. I'm realizing he's just he's the default choice that has no character to him.
And yet they made a movie about him. We don't have time for that. Well,
changing topics. Let's do that Mario movie now.
Someday we'll do the Mario series, probably to line up with a movie.
No, we won't, Jay. We won't.
Yeah, Ikimu, we talked about him. He's sus.
He's very sus. It's very like it's so weird. Like the whole first episode, he's not doing anything. He's just in his tower watching through Agil, and they don't explain that he's doing anything else. So that's all I'm saying he's doing. He is not a good fighter. He got a entire new Toa form just to use it as a flashbang. He has been an unreliable storyteller. We never even heard Makuta's side in all of this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with the villains that are just villains to be villains. That's kind of what Makuta was in the last series. He's not that deep of a character. I'm okay with that. This one was like, who is he?
Yeah.
He has like a couple voice lines. We don't ever see him actually do anything particularly evil.
He gives the like stock speech to his like shadow army that's like him standing on the tower Saruman style, and Clue in Tron Legacy.
I was thinking Clue.
Yeah, I mean the city has a very
is our destiny.
Yeah, you could just swap the audio in and it would make the exact same amount of sense. Yeah, no.
I don't know. He orders Umarak to hunt the Toa's creatures, makes him wear the Mask of Power, corrupts him.
Apparently.
Like,
yeah. I think there's a read of this, like my read of The Lion King, which is that Scar is actually the good guy. And this is a story that has been passed down by the monarchy that rose again after, because Scar, he's tried to help the working class.
Yeah.
The hyenas tried to help them rise above their station, create a more equitable society. The issue is that there's a famine. Scar has nothing to do with the famine.
That's a fair,
and then he gets murdered, dropped off a cliff.
I thought it was implied that the famine happened because hyena just ate it all.
Which
that's entirely possible too.
But it's like it's a drought.
They drank so much.
They were thirsty hyenas.
It's a drought. I shouldn't have said famine. It is a full-on drought, and they're like, Scar has done this. And then they throw him off a cliff and are like, we won. We are the heroes. We are the kings of this, the titular Lion King. We are the ones
To
who are
be fair,
correct.
he did murder his brother.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Also,
Mm.
if his brother is like the evil ruler who is ruling this kingdom with an iron fist and keeping the hyenas down.
So Makuta,
Yeah.
um,
This is my point though of like there is a version of the story where Makuta is a guy whose brother was jealous of him for some reason and like you're too powerful. I'm going to knock the mask off of you and banish you to the shadow realm. And he's just like
yeah.
I just want to get home. And then he's looking at the goings on at his home and his like brother is assembling all of the people of this world to try and stop him. And he's like, I just want to leave.
Also, okay, a thing that I just realized. Okay, so the whole point of what everything that Umarak was doing was to collect the pieces for the mask to give to the Makuta so that it opened the portal between the worlds, right?
Yes.
But I'm realizing in the Shadow Realm, Makuta has that mask on already.
Yeah.
I'm
Huh.
really confused now. I guess they needed to like sync the masks in the real world and the shadow world.
Yeah. What the Shadow Realm is very undefined. Like is it a
Yeah.
parallel reality or is it like a like is cuz when Gali goes in there she leaves her body.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's almost like this is a projection of herself that is now her stuck in the spirit realm
Right. Yeah.
or the shadow realm. So is that like his manifestation he is already wearing the mask? Cuz he's been
Mm,
apparently corrupted by the mask.
yeah. Which another reason why it's like, okay, he was corrupted by the mask. Why is he the villain? Like, he needs
Yeah.
rehab, not more time in Shadow Realm.
Also, why did the city go into the Shadow Realm?
And why didn't
Does this?
Ikimu
Yeah.
is I
Well,
think the bigger question.
well, and I realized on watching this, I'm like, oh, the army in there probably is just like, raised by Makuta or whatever.
Yeah.
But when I first watched it, I was like, oh, yeah, it's all the inhabitants of the city that got sucked into the Shadow Realm that are mad at Akimu. Rightfully so.
Yeah. That's
uh,
a more interesting plot to me than what they have here is
yeah.
what if Makuta has been wronged and Ikimu has been lying and yeah,
Yeah.
but well,
Obviously, I don't think that's their intention. Would be interesting if they did it that way,
yeah.
but it's like,
The the thing that makes me hesitate about that is that's basically what they were going to do with Hero Factory.
mm,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Or at least a version of that where a character who is presented as the wise leader is revealed to be playing both sides
Right. Yeah.
against each other. So, yeah, I could imagine a version of this where since there's a lot of creative like people going from one to the other, they're like, "Hey, what if we took some elements from our Hero Factory idea that we couldn't do, brought them into Bionicle?" And then that didn't work out either. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's the things that Christian Fabre has said, which I don't know how much of that was
A lot
finalized.
of it's also very disjointed.
Yeah,
Just not like a full picture of what he was
I don't know if
saying,
I
but
fully believe that that was the plan when they started releasing story material, or if that was like very
I
early
I
stages
don't
of
think
development.
so either. I
Yeah,
think they just saw, oh well, we're just gonna take 10% of that concept, take out the big thing that you want, and just do the simple thing
yeah.
Yeah. I'm
with no real
Should we just get into
plan.
this right now?
it, it-
Uh, Umrak.
yeah,
Let's talk
we'll
about him
we'll
first.
speed run Umarak.
Yeah, and then we should just speed run the rest of this because there's not much else to say. Yeah,
Yeah,
He's just kind of a goon now. They
yeah,
took all of his like cool design qualities, his cool powers, and they're like, you get generic power.
Generic rock monster looking thing.
Yeah.
Also, you have
You have gold.
you have the Mask of Control, which means
Nothing.
something. I don't know. We'll figure it
You
out
can
later.
control. You can scream in frustration, and it causes an army to
Yeah,
do
I guess
stuff.
you can kind of control the elements, but at that point, it's like, okay, then why do we have elemental masks if you can just use the Mask of Control to control the elements?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The mask powers are, interestingly enough, like they're supposed to be more simple in this, but they're not very well defined. Where in like
Yeah.
the first series, it's like, okay, the Mask of Shielding creates a little bubble around you, or like a little shield that you can use to block attacks and or lava. In this, it's like, yeah, there's a Mask of Creation, which we never really see used. Maybe it's used when he's opening the door. I'm assuming it was used when he was making masks or, fixing their armor between uh, release waves. We've got the Mask of Control, which we don't really see used. And then we have the Mask of Ultimate Power, which is just evil, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't go with, oh, it's the Mask of Shadows.
Yeah.
Shadows is such an easy one to go with. Darkness bad.
It's like I feel like they were just like, okay, let's just make this thing more like Lord of the Rings. We'll have like similar style
Yeah.
music, like volcano, like dark evil place. Even Makuta was looked like Sauron.
Yeah.
He got the golden mask that I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just right now looking at the art book that they released and the original design for the third villain, which is
Mm.
similar in that it's like the green with the gold mask, but they've done like a Cthulhu type thing. And I'm just wondering, that would have been more interesting
Yeah.
than
It,
whatever they did.
well, and so the crazy thing is we're currently talking about Umarak, but I think it's telling in the fact that we're talking about Umarak by talking about literally anything else.
Yeah.
Because there's just not anything to him.
Yeah,
The moments that I think were good that I enjoyed with Umarak in this season at least, where he gets to Makuta with all the pieces and he's like, what do I do with them? I don't know what I'm doing. Your instructions are not clear. And Makuta's like, just throw them towards me. And he's like, okay. That was a good moment for me. Not for the reason why they expected, probably, but I was like, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, he has shadow powers.
did he though? I feel like we lost that.
He only has shadow powers in making them like mud, as Pohachu describes it, where they're kind of trapped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mud.
Mud. And also he can absorb light, which that makes sense. It's okay. That whole the whole interaction. I have it written down. It's it's rough. Okay. They're like, Gali steals one of the pieces, right? And then she gets dragged into the Shadow Realm. And they're like, the Akima's like, you don't have enough power, enough of the mask to open. And he goes, nuh-uh, I got your light power. It's like, so is that enough to open? So okay, wait, Akima's had access to the light door. Could he have just opened the realm and let Makuta out this whole time? I'm frustrated.
I gave characters a 1.
Yeah. I did as well. This is a real, like, it's weird to say this is a step down from the first season because it wasn't like the first season was great, but I felt like we had actual arcs and character traits for some of the characters that were distinct in interesting ways. And now it's just they're all there.
Yeah. I gave it a 1.1 because I was like, there's certain elements that I think were okay. There is like, they were mostly consistent with some of the characters. Onua was a good character. Liwa was a good character. They just don't stand out that much. But I felt mean giving them just ones because they were still easy for the most part to understand who is who. Yeah.
Onto visuals. There's some interesting uses of elements. I think especially in like the siege battle where they're like the lava monsters are creating like lava bridges. The lava bridges don't factor into anything, but it's like a cool visual. They're using the elements like the Toa are using their elements in interesting ways. But besides that, I don't know. I felt the same about this as I did for the visuals for the first season.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt mostly the same. I dropped it down to a 3 for this season just because I felt like the like crystal enemies were just, it was just too much crystal. It just felt too samey for
Yeah.
the most part. Otherwise, the visuals were pretty much exactly the same. It's just an overuse of that like neon glowing crystal everywhere that I felt got old. But that's not
Yeah.
necessarily the fault of the animators or anything. That's the fault of the set designers, really.
uh, yeah.
I
Visuals.
gave it a 2.
Yeah, I gave them a 2.5, which is what I gave the last ones, I believe. So yeah,
Yeah.
performances again, same people. They're saddled with very awkward dialogue. They
Yep.
are not doing anything that's unfair to say. There isn't anything they can do to plus it, and even if there was, the vocal filtering and everything just, I mean, yeah, I have the line. Oh no, I don't have the line anymore. You heard the lines. You
Yeah.
cannot tell without the visuals who is speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. It sound Yeah, the performances I don't think changed at all for me. It was they did the performers probably did as best as they could. Wasn't anything too great. Just kind of middle of the road for me.
I didn't think they particularly matched the characters, so whatever.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell if they matched the characters, so I gave it a 2.25, not for the level of quality of the performances themselves, but all of the production around that led to a subpar overall final quality.
Yeah.
I gave it a 3.
I gave it 2.5, right in the middle.
So
It
yeah,
just kind of exists.
Yeah.
last up is
Speaking of
sound.
exist.
Yeah.
I think the most of the okay moments in the show are thanks to the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I also
A
think the
little bit.
soundtrack is still pretty bland. We don't even
Yeah.
have the like Lord of the Rings inspired opening number from the recap episode.
But you got like the orc marching style
Yeah.
music for the Dark Leaders, so got a little bit of deep voice opera going there sometimes.
Yeah. The I literally don't remember anything about the sound except the soundtrack was there. I thought the soundtrack, again, with both seasons, the soundtrack has been fine. It's just they only made 6 scores and
Yeah.
they've just been
Yeah.
cycling between them. Um, so it is very just generic,
Yeah.
and everything else with the sound, like the sound effects are fine for like water and the ice and all of that, but nothing stands out to me as, oh, this is really good. And there's just so much that does stand out to me as this is mediocre or this is bad. Um, Mostly in how they chose to do character voice filtering.
Yeah.
So I think, what did I give it? I think I gave it a 2.5 again.
Yeah, we all gave
I
it
give it a 2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which leaves me with a total score of 9.5, which is a 38% or 1.95 star rating.
Yep, I have a 9.25, which is a 37% or a 1.85 5-star rating.
I gave it a 10.1, which is a 40.40% or a 2.02 rating out of 5 stars.
All of our scores except for John's dropped. John, I assume he just kind of took your scores from the last one and brought them over here. Which is totally fair because there aren't many changes in quality. For me, it was just like, I guess for me, it was big changes, but that's because I maybe overrated the first season.
I think if you watch, like you did, if you watch the first season and think, okay, this has potential, I can see how you rated the first one. But if you watch both seasons at the same time, it's really hard to rate the first season well because you see that potential just runs off a cliff. There's nothing to it.
Yeah, it's Game of Thrones before and after Game of Thrones ended, where before it ended, you're like, oh, this is going somewhere interesting, and then after it ended, not the books, the show to be specific.
Yeah.
When you get to the end, you're like, oh, there's nothing here.
But the build-up was still really well done. It's just that you don't think about the show after the ending because there's nothing to think about.
Yeah.
But if you stopped watching before the final two, you're still thinking about what's going to happen to those characters.
Yeah.
There's nothing definitive. It's like, oh, what's in the air? I don't know. Whatever.
Which, yeah, that describes my reaction to this show. Of after the first season, I was like, oh, that was decent. And then after this one, I'm like, oh, I don't think the first part was decent.
Yeah.
So yeah, onto the Bionicle that might have been. The idea here was that, according to Christian Faber's videos, was that a character from the Matoran universe would
or
be
something somewhere
would be sent back in time to change the events of the original timeline. So like sent back to
something.
the island of Matanui.
A character would go back in time and change events to the way that they wanted it to go.
Yeah.
Whether that means they go to Generation 1, which is either a new timeline or original timeline. Who knows? It's just time travel was the big theme, probably even just the big twist of it, because maybe the story was supposed to be like a Code Geass Season 2 thing where things are similar, but something's not right. Something's changed.
Right.
Until you figure out, okay, this is what happens, and so characters try and go through time and such to fix things, which would have led to them going and connecting all of the Lego Technic systems. So they go and see Hero Factory, they'd see Schleizers, the
Throwbots and Schleizers,
all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, which could be cool.
Could be.
But then there's some vague things like the Mask of Light. Is it the ultimate power? I don't know. This would have explained where the random masks on Matanui came from. They were made by Ikimu, and he just tossed them into a time portal somewhere, and they ended up on Matanui.
Cool.
I don't know. It's bizarre. I like time travel, but this was probably too much for a toy line, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think especially as we're trying to simplify the lore, and the mechanics of the time travel are so convoluted.
Oh yeah,
that it and then the fact that you're bringing in more than just like the single time travel back to the past, where you're doing like, oh, Akibu's doing this stuff to explain plot holes from it just I do not like this idea at all. It reminds
me.
Also,
it's just Christian Faber going through his like very all over the place designs, and it's like, oh, here's
Yeah.
this idea and stuff. I don't
I
really
think
know.
it's mostly brainstorming.
It's mostly brainstorming.
It reminded me a lot of the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child play, which is the official sequel to the Harry Potter series about Harry Potter's kids. And his kid like gets a time turner and goes back into the past and like visits all of these iconic moments from throughout the series. And that is, I think, the worst way to do a reboot of
Mm.
people want more of this. We want more money. We don't want to
Yeah.
come up with anything new. Let's just do it over again.
Yeah, well, in doing like a full reboot where the story is
Yeah.
completely different, you end up losing a lot of longtime fans. If you do kind of a soft reboot, like they tried with
Star Trek.
I
Well,
wasn't
or
new.
Legend Reborn.
Yeah, Legend Reborn. Then again, it kind of feels like you're betraying the old fans, but you're especially not like providing that much new for new fans.
Yeah.
So I think like the middle ground of this is a new story, but it's set in the same like multiverse kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just something is a little different, does add something for both. However, it would have been complicated to do, and they needed to fix too many things marketing wise about Generation 1, or at least Lego felt that they needed to fix too
Yeah.
many things that it doesn't really make sense. It like this series derives very far from what Bionicle Generation 1 was, to a point where I'm like, if they had slapped a different name on this, it almost would have been better, because they could have come up with their own original story versus
Yeah.
this where it's like they're trying to fit that same mold. But the reality is Bionicle 1 worked because it was so Bionicle 1. It was weird and it was complicated and it had these deep stories. It wasn't a simple thing. And it seemed like they kind of looked at Ninjago and they were like, we need to make Ninjago, but Bionicle. We'll take something super recognizable. We'll take something really successful at the moment. We'll combine the two and it'll work. But Ninjago's story is a lot more simple. And I
Yeah.
have no qualms with Ninjago's story. In fact, Greg Farshti, the lead writer for Bionicle for several years, was the lead writer for Ninjago for a long time. And that's part of why I think the story does really well. But Bionicle is Bionicle. It needs to be what it is. It's this mythical universe that you want to explore, not, hey, it's an island that looks kind of like the first island, but it's not the same island. But we're also not going to explore this island at all.
Yeah. It's I can imagine so many directions they could have gone. And honestly, the direction that they did go is not my least favorite, of just being like, hey, this is we're going to try and like copy the same style of story.
Yeah.
Although not really, cuz the Generation 1 of Bionicle starts with, hey, here's a character who is going around and encounter and learning about this world.
Yeah.
And here it's like, oh, here's the world is just backdrops for the characters to exist upon.
Yeah.
Um which yeah. I can imagine though, like, what if this was a little bit more, they took like a Legend of Zelda approach, where it's like, this is the same timeline, this is so far in the future
Mm-hmm.
that like the stuff from the past is still influencing it and there's like little Easter eggs, but it is so far removed that it is essentially its own story.
Yeah. They could have said it further in the past too.
Yeah.
Already we have like in the original story of Bionicle, it doesn't really go over what it was like for the original Toa when they were first created, right?
Oh, yeah.
And this one has the original six Toa. It has Ikimu, who wears the mask of creation, much like Artaka did in the original series. It could have just been the story of Artaka having created the Toa Mata, and that kind of thing. Like, they could do a very, like you said, Zelda-esque story where it's in the same timeline, either very far back or very far forward, but still a continuation. And it probably could have worked out pretty well. But
I don't know
I don't know.
if, because I think the problems with this reboot are deeper than story level. I think it is
Yeah.
very poorly timed, just in terms of the original fans are not old enough yet to be nostalgic for this,
Yeah.
and the younger fans, or like the newer fans who would be coming into this, still remember the old series
Yeah.
or have like a vague awareness of it. um yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
It's,
if there's a way they could have fixed this one, or if it was just kind of a honestly, this being bad, if they bring Bionicle back again and it is even slightly better than Generation 2, people will adore it because Generation 2 kind of failed.
yeah. Generation 2 in general is so fascinating to me from both the like storytelling and the marketing perspective. Because they took a lot of similar things and tried to refactor it to the
Yeah.
new Lego business model. Um, they took, rather than the like Maori Polynesian culture, they decided to go with like more of a Mayan Aztec culture. So they're still relying on an outside culture to influence certain aspects of it, which I think is cool. It leads to kids being a little bit more interested in outside cultures. Love that. They're using the CCBS system, which I have gripes with, but I think they did a good job with. Um, and it makes sense to use the CCBS system because it's a little bit less expensive than the previous one.
Yeah.
Um, and the whole like idea is they're kind of coasting on the Bionicle name for brand recognition while trying to fix what they did wrong. So like what they think Bionicle did right was elemental heroes, which they brought back with the Toa. They brought back gear functions, which I wasn't expecting, but they did a good job with. They brought back quests for masks. They brought back little companions that attached to the back that we saw in like 2008. They have a very generic bad guy who's corrupted by evil, and is the brother, or maybe literal brother in this case, of the respected leader man. Um, it is based on a culture that is lesser represented, um, but it's based on like this ancient civilization, like people group, and it's marketed to the same kids, 6-year-olds to 10-year-olds mostly. I looked into it, and like the main audience was 8-year-old boys, is what they were
Okay. Yeah.
trying to go. Now, they were trying to fix things. And the things that they tried to fix with Generation 2 were they wanted to make sure that there were less plastic molds, so it was less expensive for the company, which is fair. We see things like all the Akotans have the same mask, all the protectors, and the weapons and armor are very repeated. Uh, they're also using like less names, more simple names. Uh, all the marketing has Master or Uniter instead of Toa, which is a little bit easier to understand when you're a kid. The masks don't have names. The Akotans don't have names. Um, they went back to bringing colorful sets back in, which was really nice, especially compared to like the 2008 sets, which were very much gray and whatever color. They simplified the mask powers. They told the story basically in one medium, which is crazy for Bionicle.
Yeah.
And they tried to make each character a little bit more distinct in who they are, as well as making like the characters look set accurate for the animated version, which I think is
Yeah.
awesome. However, there's a lot of things where they failed. In simplifying a lot of stuff, the island has always just been this backdrop. It didn't feel like a real living, breathing place, unlike Matanui was. Um, the characters are more distinguishable, but also more flat. It's like they took the same character for every person and then like squished it a little bit in a different direction.
Yeah.
Um, which was kind of meh. The villain has no distinct motivation, which, to be fair, in Bionicle 1, we didn't really know Makuda's motivation, but it still was like, okay, he's trying to seize power. In this one, it's like destruction, seizing power. He's just
Yeah.
evil. I don't really know. Um, there's a lot of inconsistent world building, and I think this is partially just to do with the fact that they were only given 4 episodes to try and do a lot of this. But like the powers and the abilities are not super consistent with what they can do. The stakes aren't super consistent. The rules of the universe are not super consistent, especially with the whole prophecy stuff.
Yeah.
And this show just didn't do a good job of what it needed to. And what it needed to is it needed to carry the Bionicle story. It needed to be the thing that's like, hey, look at this. This is a glimpse at what the story is. Like like follow it, buy the toys to learn more, which is what Bionicle Mask of Light did. Even though it didn't tell the full story, it was like here's a snippet, buy our sets to learn more. In reality, they had a really good opportunity to do something amazing with having a direct series tied to the story. They could do a lot more in bringing that Bionicle story to the forefront of, uh, kids' entertainment.
Yeah.
But, and I don't think it's necessarily the creative's fault. I think they didn't get much of a budget. Obviously, 4 episodes is not a lot. I think they could have done better with just one movie.
Yeah. Which would allow them to do more, like have a character arc that runs through the whole thing, or better. Even honestly, they might have gotten a slightly bigger budget if it is a movie rather than
Yeah.
a Netflix show.
Yeah. So I don't know. I see where they were trying to go with this. There a lot of decisions seem like they were led by a marketing team,
Yeah.
um, rather than with Bionicle Generation 1. It felt more like, these people are passionate. They got nothing else to lose. They're trying something new, and it worked, and so they just keep running with it. Versus this, where it's like, okay, well, we've got the Bionicle brand. We've got to make sure it fits with the brand. We got to make sure it sells the sets and it is marketable. And we see a lot of, for lack of a better term, sequelitis within industries where they're trying to reboot or restart a series. And oftentimes it ends with, because it's not the same people that worked on the first series, there's just an air of cash grabbery, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's really unfortunate for beloved franchises. And I felt very let down by the storytelling of this franchise.
Yeah. I wonder if it's just Lego is in a different place at this point. When they made the original Bionicle run, it was like, we're just trying stuff out to see if anything sticks because the
Mm-hmm.
company was in a bad spot. Um, it reminds me a bit of like Disney,
Yeah.
where this was a little bit before, but in the 80s, it's like Disney isn't doing too well. Um, and that allowed for like there was a time when I believe it was shortly after when Michael Eisner took over. I don't know. It's been a while since I read the book about this, but it was like essentially Disney animation is dying out. They've been moved out of their studio into a smaller studio, and they're just like, hey, anyone can come in and pitch us an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads to The Little Mermaid, which is this massive success, reignites passion for animation in Disney. They do this whole renaissance of these creative ideas. There's a few decades of just like, we're letting people go a little bit crazy. I brought up The Lion King. That's one of these projects that comes to fruition. Beauty and the Beast, all of these great things. Then starts to peter out. Um, Shrek kind of comes in and ruins it all by being a parody of it and changes the industry. And Disney kind of tries to chase that success but can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And now all that Disney wants to do is live action remakes of those Renaissance movies.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we want, rather than create something new, and they have created new musicals, but it just feels very like stagnant. Like we're getting a second Moana movie instead of a new Disney princess movie.
Yeah. Well, and like even some of the movies that they have made have been like originals. I'm thinking, what's the? It came out a few years ago, but it's like Forbidden World or Lost World or something.
Strange World.
Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that. That one was a good movie, but it was, you could tell it was partially like the marketing team, I think, had too much influence over parts of it, and then they didn't market it well. So it was just
yeah.
weird.
Well, and that one falls into the thing of Disney has never been able to get those types of adventure animated features off the ground because it didn't work with Atlantis or Treasure Planet.
Yeah.
Um, but then you have like Wish, and Wish, the entire existence of Wish is for Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And I think you're seeing that with Lego, unfortunately, as well, where at this point with Bionicle, it's like, okay, well, we're either gonna do a like very controlled, very marketed, very like tested out, test or focus grouped thing, or we're just not going to do it. Um,
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, there was a time where they were able to experiment a bit more, but now it's, I guess, at this point when they're doing the reboot series, maybe now it's changed, though I don't think it has.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing too is, 2001, or I guess 1999 was when they
Yeah,
really started developing Bionicle, was a time period where, like, as soon as Bionicle released, it was their best earner of anything that they had made.
yeah,
Nowadays, no one set made as much makes as much for Lego as Bionicle did at the time. Like,
yeah,
as far
yeah.
as percentage goes, they make a lot more as a company right now than they did in 2001. But um, the sets that they have, I feel like the ones that I'm seeing a lot, which makes me think are the most successful, are sets that are decorative, geared towards adults.
Yes, yeah.
Um, and I love Bionicle, and I will, if they release any Bionicle sets, I'll buy them. But Bionicle is not the most like decorative kind of thing. It is
Yeah.
made to be action figures, and they can be posable, but they're not, a beautiful bonsai tree set or
Something that my
architectural.
grandmother can and does actually buy and display at her house.
Yeah, exactly.
Though I think the interesting thing about that is they do the Star Wars sets,
Yeah.
these decorative Star Wars sets. I think it could get to the point where there's enough nostalgia for Bionicle that Lego feels like, oh, we can actually make decorative sets that are Bionicle sets. I don't know what that
Yeah.
would look like.
Probably something like this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe something like the Tahoe, like maybe scaled up a little bit so there's a little bit more detail.
Or
Um,
even like they do the helmets for a lot of the Star Wars characters.
yeah,
If they did a Bionicle uh
mask.
Kanohi How mask,
Yeah,
um that would be cool. Either like you could either do Tahu's mask, or you could do the Mask of Light. I think either one would be iconic enough for people to be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
yeah,
Um, but I think they're hesitant to do anything with Bionicle right now,
yeah.
unfortunately.
And yeah, I mean,
Besides Easter eggs.
Besides Easter eggs, yeah.
I think it's partially a disappointment, but I think it has actually, because I was trying to think of what comes after this for Bionicle. What if Lego was like, "Hey, we're restarting Bionicle,"
Hmm.
and I was like, "Oh, that might be exciting," but then I realized there's a lot of stuff out there with Bionicle, specifically like the Biomedia project, where they've collected a lot of like copyrighted material, but because Lego isn't worried about making money off of any of that, it's just there. I think if
Yeah,
Lego restarts Bionicle, the first thing they do, take down any copyrighted material they can get their hands on and try and condense everything back into, we're rebooting, we're taking all of the old stuff and trying to make it as inaccessible as possible so that
yeah,
we can start this new series. Disney has done similar things. Nintendo will aggressively go after fan content. Not Wizards of the Coast, but Hasbro, who owns Wizards of the Coast now, has gotten in hot water for doing similar things. Um,
yeah. Although Lego as a company seems to stand apart from a lot of the others
that's
in
true. Yeah,
understanding that a lot, like their entire base is very creative.
yeah.
And I think overall they do appreciate that. Even right now, there's a fan game in development that's been in development for a while, but is looking really, really good. Bionicle Masks of Power, which is
Mhm.
entirely fan created, but they've reached out to Lego, and Lego has given them full permission to continue development. Um,
Okay, that's
and
neat.
so I do think in some degrees, if Bionicle is rebooted, they will crack down on certain things. Like they'll probably be like, yeah, you can't have our entire movies downloadable on a website. But I do think a lot of their like marketing and promotional stuff that they have, they'll probably be okay with that existing, because at the end of the day, it just markets for them on its own. But I do think they'll get a little bit more restrictive towards things that we might not expect.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't think anything they make will be Technic or CCBS based. It's probably just going to be based on the Lego brick. It might just even be minifigures.
Yeah. Well,
We'll see.
even the sets that they're like the Technic-ish sets that are coming out right now. Obviously, there is like still Technic, but we're not seeing as much like ball joint sets anymore. We're seeing kind of like the Tahu that you just showed, where it has the little ball joints. We're seeing a lot more of
Yeah.
those now,
yeah,
Tiny ball
which I think it's
joints.
because they're designed to work pretty well with standard Lego pieces.
Mhm.
And to me, that makes a lot of sense. It is a little bit unfortunate because you don't get the same amount of detail when you have to work with something as small as that, but
Why is this black?
it is. What are,
Why is the hilt of the sword black?
that's a
This is
great
supposed to
question.
be the hand.
That is a great question, actually.
Mm.
But
uh,
yeah, like I think there is a way forward for Bionicle, but I do agree right now it probably will make more money for them as just like nostalgia, and to keep people like, hey, if we dangle the carrot far enough, you'll still keep walking forward.
yeah.
So Yeah, it's a weird spot for Bionicle to be in right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this has been our Bionicle series. Yeah, once again, Toa, thanks for joining us for this and for providing this more expert perspective on it. John, I know you are
Happy
also
to.
very familiar with all of this Bionicle stuff. I, however, am not, so I always appreciate having people who can explain these things to me. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Make sure to follow us on social media. We are Binging Barbie Podcast on Instagram and Tumblr, Binging Barbie on Twitter and Serialized, and Binging Barbie, a Barbie movie podcast on Letterboxd. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a 5-star review and go join our Patreon. Now, Toa, where can people find you?
You can find me mostly on YouTube, youtube.com/ToaLegend, or on Twitch. I stream just about every Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, and that is twitch.tv/ToaLegend.
And yeah, we will be back next week to give our final rankings for the Bionicle series. And Toa, you will be joining us for that as well, which is exciting. That's the first time we're having a guest for one of these ranking episodes. And yeah, until then, I guess we'll be in the stars looking down to see if there are any issues we need to address.
Yep.
Bye, Barbie.
Bye,
Bye,
Barbie.
Barbie.